The video begins with a long-haired girl wearing bright clothes sitting alone at an outdoor stone table at night. At first, the girl sits still, but as the camera moves closer, the girl's face gradually becomes clearer with big, dark eyes and a wide, scary smile. The ghost girl begins to make slight movements, slowly looking down and then up, but the creepy smile remains on her face. The cameraman tries to talk to her, but there is no response. When the cameraman intends to move closer, the ghost girl suddenly raises her hand and points straight at the camera as a warning. A strange white light appears and flies across the screen, adding to the horror. Despite the threat, the cameraman moves the camera very close to the table. The image of the ghost girl becomes clearer and scarier than ever. Notably, at around 2:50, another hand, looking gaunt and ghostly, suddenly appears from the top right of the frame, as if another entity was there. I am a person who is extremely fond of camping alone. The feeling of being immersed in nature, separated from the noise of the city, is really wonderful. This time, I chose a rather wild forest to challenge myself. As usual, I set up a small camera facing the tent, mainly in the hope of capturing a weasel or a deer passing by at night. That night, like many other nights, I read a book for a while and then fell asleep to the sound of crickets and rustling leaves. Everything was so peaceful. The next morning, while packing up, I happily took out the camera to review the results of last night. At first, it was just familiar scenes: a spider spinning a web, some frogs croaking on the leaves. I even chuckled because the nightlife was so rich. And then, I fast-forwarded to the video with the timestamp of nearly 2 a.m. My heart stopped. My spine was cold. From behind a tree, a tall, thin, shadowy figure swooped out. It didn't walk. It drifted, more accurately. Deadly silent, heading straight for my tent. My hands shook, almost dropping the camera. It stood there, right behind me, separated only by a thin layer of tent fabric. While I was still sleeping soundly inside, completely unaware, it stood there for a few seconds. A pale white shadow on the infrared screen, as if observing, contemplating. Then, as silently as it had come, it retreated and disappeared into the darkness. I sat there motionless for a long time, cold sweat pouring out. The peaceful feeling of the early morning vanished, replaced by an extreme fear. The fear of realizing that I was not alone that night. That trip was my last trip to that forest. Now, every time I close my eyes, I am still haunted by the white shadow gliding through the night. And wonder, what if that night, it decided to lift the tent flap? That night, I had to return home urgently because of a family matter. The shortcut through the old villages was already deserted. And now that it was night, it was even more deserted. Only my car headlights cut a faint streak of light through the thick darkness. I accelerated, just hoping to get home quickly. Suddenly, from afar, I saw a vague white figure. The closer I got, the faster my heart beat. A woman in a white dress, with long hair, was walking alone in the middle of the road. In a deserted place like this, at this hour, who would walk alone like that? A feeling of unease crept up inside me. I slowed down, keeping a safe distance, both scared and curious. She just kept walking, neither fast nor slow. Without turning back, her footsteps seemed to glide across the road, light and aimless. I didn't dare to honk, nor did I dare to pass. There was something about her appearance that sent a chill down my spine. I could only follow behind, the headlights acting as my only shield against this strangeness. And then, suddenly, she fell to her knees. It was as if some invisible string had just been severed. I was startled, trying to figure out whether I should get out of the car to help. But at that moment, my eyes blurred. The scene before my eyes blurred in a strange blue light. When I regained my composure, in just a blink of an eye, she had disappeared. The road ahead was empty. Only the sound of my car engine and the chirping of insects in the night remained. I stepped on the gas, rushing like a madman, not daring to look back. That white shadow and that sudden fall to my knees haunted me for the rest of the journey. And perhaps the rest of my life. The video opens in a cemetery where a man in military uniform is cleaning. At around the second, an old woman in plain clothes suddenly enters from the left side of the frame. When she stops, her figure becomes blurry and transparent, indicating that she is a ghost. The soldier stops working, takes out a small object from his pocket as if to offer. And the old ghost disappears. How do you feel? Tell us what you think. The video begins with a person pointing at a computer screen displaying footage from a security camera. The camera shows a hexagonal tiled yard at night, with a small fish pond to the right. The person begins to explain that they are checking the camera to find out why their fish are dying. On the camera screen, a small, doll-like figure with black hair and a green glow around its lower body suddenly appears from the left side of the screen. Near a white car, the person watching the video points at it and expresses surprise. The creature moves slowly and cautiously across the yard. Towards the fish pond, the strange creature reaches the edge of the pond, then crouches down and enters the water. Its green glow is clearly visible in the dark pond. The narrator explains in a frightened voice that this is when the creature attacks and eats their fish, causing ripples in the water. After a while underwater, the creature emerges from the water, stands at the edge of the pond, then turns around and moves back to the left side of the screen before disappearing completely. The camera footage returns to normal, with no sign of the strange creature. Only the other fish in the pond appear to be panicking. Viewers of the video continue to express their shock and sadness at the mysterious death of their large, healthy koi fish. Viewers use their mouse to rewind the footage to the moment the strange creature appears and enters the pond. They point at the screen again to emphasize the scene of the creature in the pond, describing how it opens its mouth and attacks the fish. They mourn the loss of their most beloved fish. The video ends while playing this scene again.